BowmanDigitalMedia.com. Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode. It's been a couple weeks of Marketing Mondays with Ira Bowman. I am back here in California, and Mariella, my friend in Santa Barbara, is saying, woohoo, welcome back. Thank you, my friend. And June, who is in Texas. Good morning, June. How goes the lavender business? I hope it goes very well. Wherever you are watching from, whatever time of day it is, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I feel like I'm part of the Truman Show right now. But anyways, I am back. I'm a little irritated. I walked a billion, gazillion, trillion. I know that's not exactly a number, but it seems like, look, I walked the whole time I was gone. I got on the scale this morning, and I weighed more than when I left. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. In fact, I don't know if any of you guys saw it. I posted a bagel I got in New York City. This thing weighed, not exaggerating, over a pound. I know because, you know, those little deli scales? I put this thing on the scale because it was heavy. And it came in at over a pound. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. So we got an update from June. It is doing really good. Kind of went slow for about a week, but it's okay. Well, I hope it gets even better, June. Maybe we could do something to help you with that. I'm happy to do it. So do me a favor. Where are you watching from? I know we got Texas in the house. I know we got California in the house. If you're watching this show, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, if you're live, go ahead and tell us where you're from. If you're not live, that's okay. Just know that I won't be able to respond, obviously, if you're watching later. But we're happy to have you watch wherever you are from and whenever you can catch it. Now, if you've ever missed an episode and you want to watch past episodes, all you have to do is go to bowmandigitalmedia.com/marketing_Mondays, and that will take you to the other episodes. In fact, I will bring it up and put it in the comments just so you guys can find it. But all of these are aired permanently. They're permanently housed on Bowman Digital Media. Of course, if you're, on YouTube, you can find my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and you can find all my videos there. I haven't been doing a lot of videos. Honestly, I kind of took a break from making videos for a while because I'm one of these creative guys, right? I like to do things ahead of the curve. I'm not an also-ran. You're going to meet a lot of people in life who copy other people. They imitate other people. That's not really my style. I'm more of I like to surf in the front of the wave. When I feel like I'm just doing the same thing as everybody else, that's time where I take a break and I come up with some new ideas, and then I get back in on that water. I'm about to unfurl. Like if you're following me in my company, Bowman Digital Media, we do 6 different things. A lot of companies, they do one thing, they make websites, or, they do photography, or they do SEO, or whatever it is that they do. We do 6 things. I like to say we do 6 things really, really well. Are we the best at any one of them? Yeah, probably not. But we're really good at all 6. Why? Because I have this attitude of I don't like to be an also ran. In other words, I don't care what everybody else is doing per se. Now, that doesn't mean that what they're doing isn't working, but I have a very specific idea of what I want to do in everything I do, and I always want to do it with excellence. I'm a Las Vegas Raiders fan. It's still taking me a minute to get used to saying that because I'm used to saying Oakland Raiders. But anyways, I'm a Raiders fan, and they have a slogan that they've had forever, and this slogan is commitment to excellence, and that's really my heart. Whatever I do, I want to do it 100%. And so with videos, I was doing a lot of videos, but then I felt like people were catching up to me. Well, I'm getting ready to do them again, and I've got some ideas. So anyways, stay tuned for that. Those deli bagels, I'm going to tell you what, Sabrina, those deli bagels were phenomenal. Like, unbelievable how much stuff they put on it. Just the amount of fish they put on it. I mean, I like the lox bagels, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Nova Scotia lox. So get that, and then it has onions and capers and tomatoes. You've got the bagel, and then they put lettuce on there. Now, full disclosure, I don't like lettuce on my bagel, so my wife and I did the same thing. We yanked the lettuce out. We did eat it because it was kind of like a salad at that point, and then we ate the bagel. The only thing I didn't like about that particular bagel, they had sea salt on it, and so it was a little bit too much salt for my taste. We tend to be under salt, not over salt in the Bowman house. I always forget about that, Mariella, because that's your thing. But yes, we do. If you're out there and you're looking for fraud protection, I always forget, and I need you to kick me inside my head sometimes. But anyways, we help people with fraud protection because Mariella Stockmo is on our team. She's the owner of Business and Risk, and that's what she specializes in. So, if you need help tightening your security, we can help you, and we do it via Mariella. And we got New York in the house. Hello, Michelle Raw. Now, I have a challenge. I have thousands of connections in New York City. And there's this movie that says, in all 5 boroughs I am known. I want to prove that I know at least one person in each borough. I was making that statement to my wife. I'm sure I do, right? Do you know all the boroughs? There's the Bronx and Brooklyn and Staten Island. No, I'm forgetting some. Manhattan. I'm forgetting one. Anyways, okay. So there's 5 of them. I just need to know if you live in any one of 5 of the boroughs, or even if you're from, I'll take that too. Let me know, because I want to prove to my wife that I do actually, in fact, know at least one person from all 5 boroughs. And then she says, "Well, is that the same thing as being known?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." Easy. My wife can pick on me. That's okay. All right. Hello, Ole. I don't know how to say that last word. I'm not going to butcher it. Where are you from? Camera, good morning. Where are you from? He is telling us from Gambia. Well, thank you and welcome. I believe that's West Africa, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's West Africa. So we do have a global audience here. Now, I'm going to bring up my Lightroom. You guys have to bear with me, though, because I was using my laptop on my vacation, and I thought my Lightroom subscription would have all the pictures from New York and Boston and Washington, D.C. already loaded. When I pulled it up, it only had my Vegas stuff on there. So apparently, I don't know if it's cache memory or whatever, but, it's not synced. So there's a little bit of delay. But I will be showing some pictures from my trip, even if I have to go to my Facebook account, because I put some up. But I got some incredible pictures I shot. Now, for those of you who don't know, Remember I said we do the 6 services, and Mariella corrected me and said 7. Let me tell you what they are, okay? We do social media management for small businesses, and that really encompasses a lot of this other stuff, but that is a service in and of itself. We also build websites. So some of our clients, they've been around for a while, or they're brand new, they don't have a website. We build those out. That's actually my thing. I build the websites out. I also do graphic design. So, logos, I make logos for people. I make all kinds of graphics for folks, and I animate graphics, which is kind of fun. It's one of the things that separates me from a lot of designers. They do just still designs, but I actually can put them in motion, which is kind of fun. Then I do photography, videography, search engine optimization, which is SEO, and then the fraud protection via Mariella's business and risk. All right. So that's what we offer. But on this trip, I mainly focused on photography. I didn't do any video work. I did some work from the hotel rooms, but mainly I took photos. Now, I took over 4,000 photos while I was gone. So over 10 days, I shot a ton. Okay. Tanzania, East Africa. So we got West Africa and East Africa in the house. That's pretty cool. Yep, I was right. Hello. I got to get out there someday. I really do. I want to come see West Africa really bad. 5 boroughs. Queens. Queens is the one that I missed. Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Staten Island. Yep. And I was in Staten Island only because we took the ferry to Staten Island. We didn't actually walk around. So we got on the ferry, shot the photos, got right back because it was part of a tour. But we were in Manhattan. That's where we were staying. So I think actually of the 5, I only visited 2. But yeah, 4,000. You know how much space that takes, Arturo? Because I shoot RAW. 4,000 RAW photos is, I don't know. My computer said I need more space. So there you go. It is what it is. But yep, I shot a lot. A lot of those probably end up being disregarded because I did a lot of duplicates. I change f-stop, I change ISO, I change shutter speed. I'm changing the lighting, the white balance light. So I do a lot of the shots. I make adjustments. So a lot of them, excuse me, I itch my nose. My nose is itchy. My allergies have flared up. They did it yesterday. I was in Baltimore yesterday, and my allergies started to kick up, and so my allergies are really bad. But yeah, over 4,000 photos. I don't have an exact number yet. I'll get you guys an exact number later. That'll be a post, I'm sure. Hello from Nigeria, another West Africa in the house. Hello, everybody. Just want to make sure I saw everything. Let's see. I don't think I would like for you to do. I write as a really good friend about 2 weeks ago is diagnosed with cancer. Oh. Wow. Okay. So June, I will put you on my prayer list for sure. I didn't know that you had that. So wow. Okay. Well, let me know what I can do to help. Okay. I'm happy to do whatever I can to support you. That's one of the things that they'll notice that's different about me. Like, for example, I met this couple. Actually, I met them I only shoot in RAW. Yeah. So, in fact, hang on a second. Let me share my screen. So today we're going to be talking about photos. So this will all jive. Okay. So hang on a second. I'm going to pull this up and pull this over and pull this up. So my card, this is just the last day. The last day I have 360 of these things, but you can see, right? Like they're each. So the CR3, the reason why it's C is the C stands for Canon. Okay. So it's Canon RAW 3 files. That's what I shoot in. So this is it. So what I do is I pull them into, you can actually pull them in natively into Photoshop now, but I just pull them all into Lightroom and then I check them that way. So I'll do that in a second. But right now what I'm doing, just in full disclosure, oops, I opened up Premiere, so it's going to slow my computer down. Hang on a second. So right now what I'm doing, it might be done. No, it's not done. And I slowed my computer down because I just accidentally started Premiere. Sorry about that. I'll come back to that in a second. So I just got to turn Premiere off. Started doing too many things on the computers and it bogs everything down. Plus, because I was gone for so long, my my cloud is busy, trying to update, and I was active. So what I would do, pretty much, I carry 2 cards with me. Every photographer has a different strategy, but let's just talk about photos. We'll get into it. So I shoot raw. Why do I shoot raw? I shoot raw because, well, there's a variety of reasons. First of all, I could take any of my images, basically cover the side of a building, right? So they're really large, just there's lots of pixels. And in the pixels, good morning from India. Actually, it's good evening there, but good evening, Lokesh. If you want to change, and I do, I manipulate images. I'm a graphic designer, right? So I actually am better at graphic design than I am at photography, right? If you're just ranking my skill sets. Now Adobe Premiere is trying to come on, so bear with me for just a second as I have to kill it or it will lock my computer up, I think. Maybe not. We'll see. Hopefully you guys can still see me. Okay, you can. Good. So if you want to manipulate files, change colors, enlarge things, you want to remove texture, add texture, all of that stuff that we do. And I'm going to actually show you guys what I do. I have a process that I go through. So if you shoot JPEGs on my Canon, and I have an EOS 90D, it's a very nice camera. If I shoot small JPEGs, I can't do that much with them, like manipulation wise, because there's just not that many data points, right? So what I'm doing with RAW is I'm getting as many data points as I can, so I can make as many manipulations as I want, right? Large JPEGs, I'm tempted to shoot large JPEGs a lot of times because large JPEGs, I could take them right out of my card and put it right on any device and you can see it. The problem with RAW is that you have to go through some type of filtration system to even see it. So, yeah, it is running. It's doing all kinds of crap. I got Windows updates going on. I've got the cloud sync going on. It's just a ton of stuff. So I appreciate to have you as a friend because I need some help in doing computer classes. So I'll get you assist me through many computer. Yeah, watch my shows. I teach people how to do almost everything. I've taught people how to make videos. I teach people how to, fix their websites, how to build backlinks. I mean, that's what I do. That's a great combination. Yeah, so that's the idea, right? Is to take these photos and then make them so I do what's called hybrid color. Hybrid color is my favorite type of photography. But what I do is I import the images into Lightroom and I get them set up the way I want. So I'll crop for rule of thirds. I'll change the temperature. I will fix texture if I want to do that. I'll fix my exposure, light balance, all the basics. Then I'll take it into Photoshop and then I'll work with the mask layers, right? So that's where I'll start to import my logo, build the frames, and then the biggest thing is the masking, right? And so what I typically will do, and I'll show you guys some examples from when I was in Vegas. That's the last time I did it. But I did a whole MMA shoot, and some of the shots, what I did was I would mask up and go black and white for background, and anything I wanted to highlight or focus, I left in color. And I don't typically manipulate the colors all that much. I like it to be true color, but I will manipulate the image if I didn't capture the colors right. If I had the f-stop wrong, or I had the white balance wrong, or my ISO speed was off, then I remember what it looked like and I adjust it to look like what I remember, right? So that's one of the things I like about having sky in the background, because if I can hit the sky correctly, then usually everything else just kind of falls into place, which is kind of nice. Okay, so let's see if we can pull up Lightroom. We still can't because it is 31% complete. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I don't want to pull up Photoshop because that will definitely slow things down. I'm going to pull up my Facebook. And I'm just going to pull up a couple photos and give you guys some examples of what I'm talking about. And then when Lightroom is done, I'll import it and I'll run through one with you guys. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to ask. This is a marketing show, so you can ask anything marketing related, and I'd be happy to answer it as best I can. Let me do this. I'm going to pull my Facebook over, and then we'll look at these together, and you guys can just kind of ask me if you want any questions while I go through them. Okay, so where's the pictures? So this is my wife and I at the airport. Most of these are going to be from my wife's cell phone. I'll tell you the ones that I took for my camera because I did. What I was doing is I was using Lightroom on the laptop and then posting some of them. Most of them I just haven't had time to go through. Like you said, when you shoot 4,000, somebody asked me, Ira, how long will that take you to process all those files? Well, it's going to take me months because it's not a priority, right? It's not, some of it's client work. That'll get done right away. This is one of my favorite things on the whole trip, by the way. This is Martin Luther King in Washington, D.C., which is amazing. Do you have some presets on Lightroom? Can I get some of them? We can go through that once we get Lightroom done. I don't use presets at all. Sometimes though, when I'm on a shoot, I'll notice that I'm using some of the same settings. So then you can copy and paste those from one to one. So that's kind of how I do it. But I'm full manual on everything I do. So I will tell you this, like for ISO speeds, I have two that I work with a lot. I do 160 inside, and I do 1/1000th outside. For ISO setting, I'm typically outside on 100 to 200, and outside on 100 to 200. Usually, if it's a bright sunny day, if it's a little bit overcast, I might be 400 to 600, 640 on ISO. If I'm inside, I'm usually somewhere between 1250 and 1600. If it's nighttime, it just depends on how much ambient light you have. But if it's pitch dark, I go 25,600 on my Canon. Let me just double check that real quick. I'll show you guys my camera here too. So let's go right here. So this is my, it's the graphic card, but anyways, this is my camera, right? So it's a Canon EOS 90D. This shoots 4K video, it shoots RAW, which is amazing. Let me turn it on. I'm probably not going to be able to get this. I'm probably not going to be able to get this in the shot, but I'm going to try. Let me know if you can read this. So like right now, this is set up at, this was set up for outside shot. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it's set at 100 ISO. F-stop is 6.3, and I'm shooting at shutter speed 1/1000th, and then I've got auto white balance picked on this one, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is just standard stuff right there. But I will go through those 4 things and change those 4 things on pretty much every shoot, right? So it just depends on what I'm shooting, right? So if you're outside though, shutter speed for if you're shooting landscapes, 1/1000th is probably good enough. If you're going to go with something that's moving, if you've got any type of moving target, you might want to tune that up. Mine will go up to 8,000. So, right. Otherwise, you're going to get the blur. Now, sometimes you want the blur. So if you want the blur, as long as you can get it to work, you can slow down your shutter speed, right? And Like mine, I have AV, which does the aperture auto. So you could just let the camera decide for you if you want. But again, I like to do everything full manual because I like to be in control of what I'm doing. So if you have any other camera settings, let me know. But like if you tell me I'm shooting a tree from 50 feet, like what lens are you using? I mean, there's so many different, and it's hard for me to tell you too because I met a guy at the top of the Empire State Building. Super nice guy. In fact, I ended up taking some pictures of him and his wife that I'm gonna edit for him and email to him because I really liked him. So he had a Nikon and he was shooting in auto. He was asking me, could I help him? Could I help him get better pictures? And I said, well, first thing you gotta do is turn that auto off. But let me help you. So I mean, I'm here. I said, just 5-minute lesson. I can teach you how to use your camera a little bit. But the problem was I didn't know how to make the adjustments. Like I knew what I wanted to change, but I didn't know where to make the changes at on his camera is set up completely different than mine. So and, and thank you very much, by the way, Mario. There's so many pictures to come. The best pictures have not been done yet, right? It's just there was some surface stuff that was done. But let me go back. We're just gonna scroll through them. So this is, again, this is all Washington D.C. We were Washington D.C. first. Then we stopped in Wilmington, Delaware to do client work. Then we went up to Boston, and then we were in New York City, and then back to Baltimore to round up the trip. It was a 10-day trip. It's me and my wife. I really love Martin Luther King Jr. I think he's one of the best people probably ever. Certainly doesn't get enough publicity, in my opinion, anymore. But this is, I think, Hamilton, if I remember right. But anyways, we saw so many people. Let me do something a little bit different. Let me see if I can. No. So I'm not a Facebook expert. I'm a LinkedIn guy. Grid view, I think, is what I want. Pardon me, I'm just looking for some of the pictures that I took to kind of show you an idea. And I think these are mostly from my wife. So just scrolling through. This is her album, and she added me on, so I started putting my pictures in it. These are all her. This one I took. This one actually I manipulated too. This is part of a series. So I saw this. He was actually part of a group, and he was doing somersaults. And I was like, "Hey, man, let me capture your picture, and I'll tag you in Instagram." And so he's like, "Sure." So he did handstands and flips. So this is another one that I took. So these are some of the photos that I took. This one I took too. Now this one I was about a half a mile away. I was using my 300 millimeter lens on this one. So if you're curious about lenses, this is at 105. So there's kind of the difference. If you just look, that's 300 and that's 105. Okay. I took this one too. I took this one as well. This actually, I overexposed this guy on purpose. I was just trying to see how tricky I could get with it. This is another one. I loved this color, so I left that setting. But this is my new friend. And there we go. Again, these are shot with a 300. These are set at, I believe I was at 200 ISO. Apertures 5 or f-stop was 5.0, I believe. Shutter speeds on these were all 1/1000th. There's another one I took. So these are some of my pictures. This is the White House. This has not been edited. That's just, how I shot it. What I will do is I'll come in here and I will change. I'll actually turn up the cyan because one of the things that you want to do with your skies is you want to get these rich blues if you can. This is one of my favorite shots. It was just like they had the flags up and I thought it was really cool. So I took the picture and there you go. So then we drove by Philly on our way up to Boston. And I'm like, I gotta get a cheesesteak from Philly. I'd never been there before. So this is Pat's cheesesteak. Honestly, I wasn't impressed. But you know, I'm not from Philadelphia, obviously, so I guess I have a different palette. This is actually my wife shot this, but this is me shooting with her name is Michelle Rawl, but she has a page here on LinkedIn called Your Finance Gal. So this is me taking some of her photos, and we're having some fun. So I created her website. If you go to yourfinancegal.com, you can see the website, and it's really funny because she has the website up, and I'm taking a photo of her. So, anyways, you'll be able to see some of those photos in the coming days because that's again client work, and I will be sharing that. Now, these are again back in Boston, and my wife took those photos with her camera. We did go to Cheers, the Cheers. If you're familiar with the show Cheers, kind of old, but anyways, we went there. They say it's a tourist trap. We had a blast. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't expensive, and that's Bob. I get a picture from my camera, Bob laying a smooch on my cheek. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming in probably a week or so. We'll get that processed enough. But we had a ton of fun. We met with Heidi as well. Heidi's there. Bob's there. Me and my wife. We had a good time. It was a lot of fun. So that's the Indian from the show. That in most of the bar, it looks nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing like what you see on the show. But the Indian, I believe, is in the show. So, anyways, that was kind of fun. So again, more stuff from Boston. I didn't take any of these photos, but these ones I took. Okay. So here's night. You guys want to know how to do night? You want to turn off your flash and turn up your ISO, right? So these were shot. Some of them were at 16,000, some of them were at 20,000, and some of them were at 25,800, which is as high as my camera will go. But that's ISO. Turn your ISO up, turn your f-stop down, and turn your shutter speed up, right? So shutter speed at 1/1000th, f-stop, I believe I was at 5 for these, and ISO at anywhere from 16 to 25,000. Okay, but these are Boston at night. Again, no lights, just ambient light. But I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's the moon right there. It's a beautiful shot of the moon. I'm shooting through a fountain, and I don't know these buildings because I'm not from Boston, but I just thought they were cool. These lights were cool too. They had these all up and down this one corridor. So I shot them a couple times. By South Market is where I was at, all downtown. So anyways, I like architecture. I like buildings. So I shoot a lot of buildings. These are pictures from my wife again. Had to get pizza. I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Atypical. I think it's hilarious. He does this smile thing, and so I was trying to replicate this smile from Atypical. I don't usually smile like that, but anyways, you'll see several pictures I did that of the trip if you follow us on Facebook. But this was one of the neatest things about New York. I didn't know about this. They have these 99-cent slice pizza places. Now, in full disclosure, most of the pizza is not 99 cents. That's the cheese pizza. So you pay a little bit more for the toppings, but I don't care. I like Hawaiian pizza. For those of you who don't know, I like pineapple on my pizza. In fact, I'll order just pineapple and cheese. I don't have to have the ham or the Canadian bacon or whatever they put. But anyways, I did take some of these pictures. This one's from my wife's phone. I don't know if that's the one I took or not. No, those are from my wife. Hang on. They had this group, and the show, it was a street show. It was amazing, but it went on so long. I'll use a term from Brian Schulman and Nancy. I had to have a bio break. So I had to go. I'm like, man, I can't wait anymore. I've got to go. But I took pictures. These guys were doing somersaults. I've got pictures. Wait till you see them. I will do a series on Instagram with them, probably like 20 deep. But they're doing like flips. I've got them every which way in the air, flipping. Super, super cool. So this is obviously Times Square. These are pictures that my wife took. I didn't take these. So these are all, if you're wondering, this is the iPhone 12. Okay. So iPhone 12 does a great job. one of the main differences, people ask me all that time, like, Ira, what's the main difference between like, cell phone camera and your camera? It's really the depth of vision, right? I can zoom in with my lenses and catch stuff from really far away. Wait till you see what I did in Baltimore. We stayed about a half mile away from Camden Yards, which is where the Orioles play, but we had a clean line of sight. The field of vision was clean from my hotel room on the 25th floor to home plate. So I shot, and I will show you these. It's amazing. It's incredible. If you were sitting in the outfield, in the upper deck of Camden Yards and trying to shoot it with your camera, you would get about the same quality shot as I got from a half a mile away. That's the main difference. And then, of course, the megapixels. I've got a lot more megapixels with with my camera. But these images, there's nothing wrong with them. And you could be a photographer with a smartphone these days. You really can. Depending on what type of photography you're doing, obviously, right? So close-ups. So like that. You could take this photo, import this into Lightroom, and do everything you could do. You know what I mean? You would suffer a little bit because you wouldn't have all the megapixels. But, I could turn the blues up. I could, change the exposure. I could remove the texture and add the, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to do. Check on my Lightroom status here. I'm at 51%. So we're definitely going to get there. It's just going to be towards the end of the show. Okay. So let's keep going here. Let's see. New York was a lot of fun. I didn't know how excited I was about New York City until like the trip got closer. And it was like, yeah, I really just I could have spent the whole time in New York. I don't know. I just, it was a lot of fun. It was exciting. There was so much to see. We were a little bit nervous because I think that was like our first trip on the subway. And we're like, okay, we're about to do this. we got on and we went the wrong way. We did that. Yes, we did. This squirrel was crazy. This squirrel was like, we were almost on top of it before it jumped. And then when it jumped towards us. And I could have, if I was stupid, I could have grabbed its tail. I'm not stupid, so I didn't. But I was actually irritated. Right here, my battery died. And I didn't have my camera bag on me because it had been raining. And so that first day, I wanted to take more pictures and I couldn't. So I say I took 4,000 photos, and I know I took more than 4, but I might have broke 5 actually by the time it's all said and done. I've got to add it all up. I would have taken more, just in full disclosure. I love photography, people. I really do. We had a ton of fun. This was in New York City, just outside of Central Park right here. We're just on the border of Central Park. And this is a monument for World War I. So I'm standing in front of it. These are all from my wife's phone. That's that. Remember I told you I could reach out and grab that tail? It came towards us. Crazy. And it did it quick, but it did it nonetheless. This was fun. I took this shot. So there's this thing, and you'll see it on the next shot. It looks like a spaceship. And so because I do social media management for some of my clients, I'm thinking I'm going to use this for West Bay. But then my wife actually, there she is, and she hates it when I take her picture, but there she is. She's stunning. So, and that's the top of the Empire State Building there, which we did go to the top. We actually went to the 86th floor and then the 102nd floor. We did both. I actually like the 86th floor better because it's outside. And so being outside on that observation deck, I was able to shoot without any glass refraction interfering with my shot. Like when we went up to the top of the Freedom Tower, the problem with the Freedom Tower for photographers is the glare. Because you don't have a magic eraser where you can erase it. You know what I mean? I can alter it in Photoshop because I'm a graphic artist. I mean, I can, but I don't want you to I want you to get the actual experience when I take the photo. That's what I take the photo for. So, anyways, I fell in love with the Empire State Building. This is Pikachu. I took that too from our kids. They like that stuff. So I took that for them. This is one of my favorite shots. I had to put this up. My wife hated it, but she doesn't like herself. So Salesforce, I'm a big Salesforce fan. I love Salesforce. Actually, somebody from the building came out and gave me some information about this particular building, which was pretty cool. He saw me taking photos. So, but I've got tons of pictures of Salesforce. This one I took too. This guy right here was a rapper. I know he doesn't necessarily look like a rapper, but he actually flowed. It was fun. It was all freestyle. It was a lot of fun. He was, picking out things of people in the crowd and adding it to the songs. She used to own this particular stand, and he works there. So, anyways, they were fun. And then there's the one I was telling you about before. This is the spaceship that was at the bottom of the other picture. So I'm actually going to impose some logos here, I think, and put this in some of my. I'm going to do some client work. This lady had white glasses. I had to get a picture with her. So this was at an Irish bar. I took these pictures. That's the Salesforce building again right there. That's by, I can't remember if that's the Freedom Tower or which one that is. But anyways, I had my wife shoot this one on my camera because of the white glasses. I had to be in there. And what am I getting there? I think I was just getting the lamp post and the street signs. And there's another one of my wife in the fountain. And the trees, I just love them. Look, I'm a desert dweller. For most of you, you're probably used to trees and you're like, that shot's boring. But for me, this is like being in Nirvana. Like, it was green, it was cool. It was a lot of fun. This was there was a little park, just like a street park. And we were sitting there having some coffee. So I love the buildings. Again, this is downtown Broadway. They don't call it downtown. They call it uptown, southtown, and midtown because it's so big. But anyways, the memorial was amazing. I shot these shots with my camera. This is my wife shooting a selfie of us. This is from the boat, from the ferry over to Staten Island. These are my wife's. I didn't put up much of this yet. I'm going to do a lot of work on these, but I did put up a couple, so there'll be a few from my phone. But you'll see, like, here's a good example. So right here, there's just no definition on a camera phone because you can only zoom in so far, and there's not the megapixels. Wait till you see what I did with it on my camera. And I have some of those on this, so you'll be able to see. This was kind of cool. If you turn around and talk up this thing, you actually can talk to the person that's on the exact opposite side of you, which my wife and I did that. She was just shooting my picture after we were done goofing around. This is at Wall Street. The Bull. The New York Stock Exchange is cool. This is the metro section. So this is in the subway. I've got a bunch of these pictures too, but again, I haven't had time to process them. Yeah, so it's funny. When we were in Boston, we drove around, and that's where a lot of, obviously, the War of Independence happened, 1770s. And we're looking at the fields, and we're going, I wonder if that tree was there. And if it was there, how big was it? I mean, I'm not a tree. I have no idea. They're big, they're fat. You assume, well, maybe they're a couple 100 years old. I have no idea. But yeah, that is something that I think about too. It's funny. It's funny that you point that out because that was a conversation that we had for sure. So this is a little bit gross maybe, but there's balls there on the bull. And people were walking up and touching the balls and taking a picture of them touching the bull's balls. I thought that was very weird. But anyways, there's a picture of me, the back of me, shooting a picture of the Wall Street banners. So my wife and I do that a lot. I'll catch her taking a picture, and she will take a picture of me taking a picture. So there you go. All right, these are all from her camera still. This was something, I didn't have a wide enough lens to get. It said Staten Island Ferry. I didn't have a wide enough lens to get the whole thing. I had a 77. So that's another thing some of you guys might not know. So this is a 77. This is designed for wide. And then you can put on, you can actually buy these things to do their telephoto extenders. They're like little, and they twist on to the end of your lenses. So you can, but I didn't have one for the lens. They have to be for a specific lens. So the ones that I had with me didn't work for the lens that I was carrying. And anyways, I wasn't able to get that all in one shot. So that's where like a phone app where you can do, a panoramic, that's actually an advantage on a camera phone. So there are pluses and minuses to everything. These are, again, photos that my wife took. That was our tour guide. She just thought that was funny because I'm not tall. I'm 5'8", with shoes on. So I'm like, I just felt like I was like being stretched out a little bit to hang on, but you got to hang on, otherwise you'll fall down. So there you go. This was kind of fun. A lot of fat heads in the statues. We saw that as a common theme in New York and in Washington, D.C. area. This was inside a church. This right here actually was the library. I believe that's New York's library. This cathedral was amazing. Again, the depths of colors. Why I shoot raw and why I use the camera that I do, you'll see it, the difference. Like when I show you these cathedral photos, the colors that I'm able to pick up. That says Fifth Saks Avenue. I've got some shots of that too with my wife standing in front of it. But this ceiling was amazing. But these colors, when you see the hues that I'll pull out, that I captured with the camera, that's some of the reason why I carry the camera that I carry. But that's a huge organ in the back of the cathedral. These are nice, and it gives you an idea what everything looks like, but it doesn't give you the ambiance. But when you see the rich photos, you'll feel like you were there. That building was neat too. A lot of cool architecture. One thing that it was cool because I've never been to Europe, right? So many of you watching, you're probably used to being in historical areas and seeing buildings that are hundreds, if not thousands of years old. I grew up out west, and most of the things that we see are modern, new, not old. So it was fascinating, especially in Boston, to go down a cobble road that was made of 3 or 4 different kinds of stone. And I mean, I had goosebumps. I was standing in front of Paul Revere's house going, how many people have stood right here? I mean, forget Paul Revere for a moment. Just how many, millions of people for hundreds of years have come by here on this Freedom Trail. It gave me goosebumps. So this cathedral was incredible. I only think we were on a tour, so we didn't get to stay forever, which is the only reason I don't have 10,000 photos, because we had to move, we had to hustle. And I missed a lot of the talking parts because I was shooting pictures too, which probably drove the tour host nuts, but it was just a lot of fun. So this is outside the Empire State Building, the observation deck. Again, that was a ton of fun. There it is from a distance. The cathedral again. And this is where the Tonight Show is shot, right? I think that's right. This was right before I met Juliana Robbie and Lisa Kapantz for karaoke. We did karaoke in New York. That's that bagel I was telling you about. That thing, 1 pound, 1.07 pounds. That's what that was. It's incredible. Probably turned into like 3 pounds on my waist, but that's fine. So this is us. This is the 86th floor of the observation deck on the Empire State Building. Is where that shot is from. And again, when I show you what I could do with my camera, I used mostly my 300 mil lens, but it's not the wide angle. So I did use some of the 105 because the 105 I had was wide angle. So a lot of fun pictures from here. But this is give you an idea of the experience that we had anyways. And Lightroom is almost done. This was kind of cool. So if you've never been in an elevator up, 80 to 100 floors, it takes a minute, literally, to go from the bottom to the top, and they're moving. But the Freedom Tower and the Empire State Building both have videos in them to kind of entertain you and educate you, I guess. So edutainment, however you would say that. But it was interesting. So what they did on the way up is they showed the guys building the building, so you could kind of, I think it's like stuff falling on you and kind of the sights and the sounds that you would hear. It was fun. The Freedom Tower, which is the World Trade Center, what they did was they kind of showed you the history of the city. So it started like 1700s, I think, is when the video started. I'm just doing this from memory, but anyways, that was really neat. I actually would have liked to seen that video more, but as you turned, you could see the different directions. So it wasn't just like one screen. It was like if you turned to the left, you'd see what was really on the left. And if you turned to the right, you'd see what was really on the right. Way, way cool. Anyways, the Freedom Tower, if you're not a photographer, I think that's a better place to go just for views. If you are a photographer, just go to the Empire State Building observation deck, 86th floor. That's all you need. You don't need to go to the 102nd. But it is expensive. We paid $150 to go into the Empire State Building's 102nd floor. I don't remember what it was to go just to the 86th. I think it was like $15 or $20 per person cheaper. So save your money. I think he's making a joke about the bull. Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch a bull's balls. They're very they're very aggressive animals, honestly. This is just stuff that's inside the Empire State Building. This is kind of cool. It shows you what direction you're looking. That was on the 86th floor, if I remember right. But I mean, this is the Chrysler Building. You can see all kinds of stuff. The Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building were basically in a race to see who could finish first, and then who was going to be the tallest. I think so. They were speed and height. They were racing, but the Empire State Building won on both counts. So there's me with, this is the Freedom Tower right there. So just as a point of reference. So you've got Brooklyn over here on the right, and then the Freedom Tower. And I don't know. Anyways, there's a ton of stuff. I was overwhelmed, honestly, like sensory overload. It's like when I went to Broadway, or not Broadway, Times Square. Times Square was the same thing. It was like, I didn't even know what to look at. There's just so much. If you ever go there, it'll make you feel a little small, right? Like, I mean, standing on top of the Empire State Building is a humbling experience. It's like standing on the side of the ocean is a humbling experience, right? And you feel like you're tiny. My camera bag, I waited more time for my camera bag to show up than it it broke on me in the trip. The strap unraveled, and so I had to get this other one. And now this one, I just bought a cheap one because I'm like, I just need to get through this trip. So I bought this one fairly inexpensively, and it's already starting to come undone too. So I carry a lot of gear because I'm a nerd. Anyways, but I was having fun. I was having a lot of fun shooting. But what I liked about it, so you can, poke your camera through. No obstructions. You get a clean field of vision. So it was a lot of fun. I don't know if I thought I did, but I haven't seen him yet. That's the Freedom Tower there. I took a ton of pictures of Freedom Tower. Now this one, you start to pick up definition. This is for my wife's phone again, but you do start to pick up the definition that you lost from that further distance. But this was a night cruise that we took, and there's a ton of pictures in here from her phone. I didn't take any of these. So let me just check my Lightroom status. I'm at 72%. So we're getting close. Of course, the hour's almost gone, but I'm going to go into some overtime because I do want to show you guys how I process a photo, and then I can teach you more about it if you want later. Maybe next week we'll do a Lightroom processing show. I really intended that pretty much to be what I was going to do today, but I didn't anticipate my computer problems, so probably shouldn't have went live the day I got back. But I do the show on Mondays, so here you go. Does anybody have any questions, marketing related questions, while I'm waiting for these photos to come up? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep scrolling through them. Again, this was a tour that we took at night. This was a ship cruise. It was the second longest day of the year. So we didn't get a lot of lights because it was nighttime, or it was, this dusk pretty much the whole time. But ton of pictures. We got to see everything. This went all around the bay, and we got to see the forts, and we got to see, this is the edge of the tunnel where the cars come out. There's one of those on each side of the river. There was boats, sailboats, yachts. I mean, again, you got all the buildings. She took a ton of pictures. I took a ton of pictures. It wasn't cold either, which was nice because it was overcast. It rained a lot while we were in on the 10 days. We got about half of the days were rain. So this is what it is. But hopefully these are fun for you guys to look at. It was certainly a lot of fun for us to experience in person. Again, I'd never been to New York before, so this was the first time in my life that I had been on the East Coast and just tourist. They called this one the Jenga building. I've got a lot of good shots of this that I'll be pulling out because it was a lot of fun building. But the further up you went, the floors started to get further and further separated, like you were pulling the blocks from a Jenga, the game Jenga. So that's why they've dubbed it the Jenga building, even though that's not its official name. That's the Brooklyn Bridge there. That's a neat shot, and that flag's fully out, and you've got the spire on the Freedom Building. I mean, that's a cool shot. Again, these are from my wife's phone, but these are good. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's some detail that I would like to probably turn up, and I would adjust the exposure a little bit. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that shot. We could use that commercially if we wanted to. So, like on this one, I could pull this into Photoshop, and I would turn down the exposure, so I would darken it up, and then I would probably turn up the brights to pull back this light, which is magnificent. But this is, again, just another issue I have with camera phones is your breadth of color. You can lose it. And because the megapixels on this is relatively small, there's not as many pixels, the manipulation will be limited, but that's what I would do with it. And you can do that with the Lightroom app. You don't even have to put that on a computer. to adjust it. You can do it right there on your phone. So again, she's getting too hot here with the camera, but you know, it's not her settings are bad. It's just the limitations of the phone. And that's an iPhone 12. Now, my wife didn't know this, so maybe you guys don't either. Your camera settings are different in the front and the back. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you're going to take a selfie, what you want to do is you want to use this side, not what everybody does. Everybody does this. Why do you do this? Because you can see it, right? But what you want to do is teach yourself to do that. So what you got to do is set it up so it's in photo mode, and then figure out where the button is. It's usually about right there. And then do this. If you can see the camera straight and flat, like on mine, it actually has a little bit of a mirror property right there because it's iPhone 11. So it's the Max Pro 11. Okay. But on that, I can kind of see. But you can get used to taking pictures of yourself. If you do it from this side and not this side, you'll get much, much better pictures. So if you're going to do your selfies, use the back end of your phone, the main side, because that camera is very, very different than this camera. Okay. So the camera quality on this is poor. The camera quality on this is phenomenal. So try to always take your pictures with this side. And again, I know it gets a little awkward, but you will get used to doing this. Trust me, I'm really good at taking selfies this way now. I don't ever take a selfie the way most people do. So hopefully that helps you guys. I apologize. This thing is still, well, it's 80%. So, I mean, I'm getting there. Let me see. I was just going to see if I could cancel it. I'm just pulling a couple. I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. Okay. Hang on a second. I'm just going to pull in a couple because otherwise it's going to take all day. So I'm going to go for my card. Actually, let me do this real quick. Let me show you guys. So when you want to go over to Lightroom and add your photos in mass, right? So add photos. And then these are on my card. Now, I don't know which ones these are. I'm just going to do a couple of them for brevity's sake. Okay, those are from Newark. So I'm not going to do those ones because you guys won't be interested in that. It was a commercial shoot that I did. Again, I'm just doing a random sample here. There we go. There's some fun ones. Okay. So I'll pull these in. It'll take just a second. But once you pull them in, see, now you can preview them, right? Because before they were raw. So I couldn't see them before. Thank you, my friend. Just got in last night, actually, at 12:30 in the morning. So it took a while for us to get home. Okay, so this one, let's just go. We'll go with the first one. So if I want to make the adjustment, it's still importing, so that's why it's slow. Plus, I've got too many things happening in the background. As Mariella said, my computer wants to update, and I've got my cloud updating and all that stuff. So it's a little bit slower than it normally would be. Plus, I'm running my video live, of course. But these shots are from Baltimore. Okay. So when I pull one up, come on. I'm just trying to show you how to do this now. You have these tools over here. Okay. And so typically I'm going to be in here. I might be in the paintbrush. I might be in the healing brush. Now, again, I do a lot of my I do a lot of my photo editing in Photoshop, but I will show you what I do in Lightroom. And then if I'm dealing with a person, I'll actually try to pull one up with a person to show you. So sometimes I will like brighten teeth or things like that. I'll show you how I do that. Okay. But on this one, the very first thing that I typically will do, right? I want to hit auto because they have adjustments. Like it's going to read it and go, hey, this is what I think you should do. Now, a lot of times I don't use it, but it just gives me an idea of what Adobe would do with it if Adobe was on it. And I actually don't mind what they did. They're doing exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm going to pull the blue out. Let me turn that off. Now, if you come over here, you can actually see what they've done when you hit that. And if you don't like one of them, you can just double click it and it actually turns that off. So that took the contrast away. And I don't know if you can tell from your screen whether that's good or not. I actually don't think it needs it. So I'm going to turn it down. But this is what I do. I just take the slider and I start to look. Now I have some depths that I know I don't want to go past. Now I like shadows. So I typically turn the shadows down, which makes them heavier. The whites, some I brighten, some I lighten. Again, on this one, because it's outside and it's gloomy, I'm going to actually lighten that up. I usually counterpoint the black, but in this case, I'm going a little bit heavy. Now, the thing that they don't do in auto that I almost always do, I want to pull these blues up. So I'm going to take my saturation level, turn it up, and just look at the sky right here. Okay, I'm going to reset it. Now, see how that's turning darker blue? Now watch what happens when I turn the illumination down. Okay, now I've really pulled that blue up. I love to do that right there. If you will master that, that will help you pull much more depth into your photos and make it look more realistic. This is really what it looked like. It might actually not quite have been that dark. So you could come back up here and go, okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to back these blacks down just a little bit. So it's not quite as heavy. Turn that white up a little bit. Excuse me, didn't mean to sneeze on you. Okay. And then exposure, that just lightens or darkens the whole thing. Okay. And again, you have to remember as the photographer, like what did it look like when you were there? And that's really what I'm trying to do in this program in Lightroom is I'm just trying to recreate the photo. So the better I have my camera set up. So if I have my ISO right, if I have my aperture speed right, if I have my white balance set correctly, right? And usually I don't have to make too many adjustments, but it's probably like 1 in 10 photos that I don't adjust anything, that I just go, you know what, it's just perfect as it is. So there's a little bit of an art to this no matter what. Now, let's do something that I wouldn't normally do. Actually, let me scroll through real quick. Hang on a second. Because there might be one that I would actually do it on. Because I randomly pulled these, so I don't. Here's an example. So, like right here, see how there are different depths? That one, that one, that one, and that one. So these are actually the adjustments that I was making here was with the f-stop. So one of them I noticed I was crooked, so I reshot it because I knew I was crooked. But I changed the depth and I changed the f-stop. Minor differences, subtle to most people. Like your eyes are probably like, Ira, I can't tell the damn difference, right? But for me, I can tell you what the differences are. And so sometimes when I'm shooting, I'm trying to shoot darker because of what I'm going to do with it. And sometimes I'm trying to shoot brighter, right? So light, bright. What's the difference here? This one was shot at an f-stop 5, and this one was shot at f-stop 8. And that's the difference between the two photos. That's it. Well, and the straight versus crooked, but there's that. This, the only thing I changed was the depth. Okay. I really like that color of that sign. So if I wanted to fix this one, again, you could hit auto and it'll show you what it does. Or you can just come and manually do it. Right? You can go, okay, well, I want to brighten it up a little bit. A lot of times if I go up in exposure, I come down in contrast. Again, it's just a feel thing. Highlights, read the word more. You can see what that does, right? So again, I don't think that needed anything. Shadows coming down. I like to make shadows heavier because it adds contrast. Okay. Now, if you notice that's changing the color a little bit of the whites. So you got to be careful here. But again, depends on what you want to do. Like you might like the black version more than the brown version. So again, it just depends on what you're going to do with it. Now I'm trying to get this to look like what it looked like, and that was rusted out metal. So that's why it's got that brown hue to it. Again, if I want to pull up any of the colors, I can pull up any of the colors. And that's pretty much all I would do with this photo. That's the main adjustment that I would make. Sometimes people want to do the S curves on the different colors. You've got your red, green, blue. So your RGB, you can do that. You can change your white balance point. You can change your black if you'd like to do that. I don't mess with those a lot. If I'm going to do that, I typically will come in and do the colors. Now, the main thing that I do the colors is primarily with the paintbrush. So if I wanted to change the orange and just master change it, I could come here to the orange. I could turn saturation up, pull the luminance down, and you see how that's changing the B and the M. So if I wanted to, I could do that. Again, if you don't like it, just double click and it resets it to the original. Okay. That's Lightroom. So if you're looking for simple Lightroom adjustments, that's how you do it. This was a fun one. Now, another thing that I do all the time is I will change, like if I wasn't shooting with a tripod at all, I didn't have a tripod with me because I didn't want to lug it around. So I'll straighten things up, which I just did. Also, if I want to shoot for rule of thirds, if I want to make that adjustment, then rule of thirds, I want to be here, 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 or here, my focal point. You can decide what that is. But if you say it's the hard rock, right, then I would want to come over like that and then come down and come up. So I would either go to here, but I lose power point. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I would lose it either way. So if I try to hit it the other way, sometimes it'll work better. Why isn't that dragging? I don't know. There we go. Come over. Okay. Come up. Yeah, I'm still losing it. So it's not going to be a perfect rule of thirds if I wanted to do that, which I don't necessarily need to do it. But again, that's the kind of stuff that I would do here in Photoshop. If I don't want to, oh, I know I'm losing that because of the twist. But if I don't want to do that, most of you guys are, you put your stuff in the center. I totally get it. So I would at least do that. Now on this one, this was at sunset. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would do it. Okay. So again, that's more the finished product. If I wanted to try to draw some blue out, there's no blue in there. I could turn up my luminance on my blue, but it's not going to pull because it's not there. There's just no blue to pull from. I'd have to add it. I'd have to go in there and actually add it. And I would do that in Photoshop, not in Lightroom. Here's a fun one. Okay. So again, with this one, I definitely want blue. So we'll pull the blue up and you see how much blue you can pull up because it's there. This is why I shoot raw. There's actually blue there. You just couldn't see it until I cranked it up. Now, if I change this, that'll help even more, right? That will wash it out. That'll pull it forward. Okay. Contrast if I need it, which I don't. Highlights, again, I can go lighter or darker. I'm going to go brighter in this case. Probably going to turn the shadows down so it's not quite so heavy. I might want to turn the temp up, but if you're pulling up blues, you typically want to turn temp down to make it cooler, and that gives you more. See what I can do? I mean, I can go crazy with it, but the right answer, again, because you're trying to create what you saw, and it's somewhere in there. That's what I saw. Very beautiful. Again, if I want to cut this stuff out because I don't like the wires, no problem. Go in there to my crop, pull that thing up, just have that as my baseline. And if you don't want it to be a landscape shot, then you can go for your rule of thirds and have it be something like that. And this is why I love shooting raw. I can go in, I can go out. This file, even though I just trimmed out half of it, is still probably 10, 15 feet wide by probably 10 feet tall. Just with all the data that's there. How would I know that for sure? What I would do is I would come in, I would export that file. Create a new folder. I'm just showing you this is how I do it, right? So select the folder and put it in. That file is 16 megs. So yeah, it's still pretty big. I'm gonna try and open up my Photoshop here real quick and let's see if we can do this. It may or may not work, but we're gonna give it a shot. All right. So do you guys have any Lightroom questions or Photoshop questions for me before I jump off? I'm going to pull this image open in Photoshop in just a second because I want to show you the size of it. This is, again, it's just one of those reasons. It's why we use RAW. Why do photographers shoot RAW? What does that mean? Well, again, it's a larger file. Has a lot more data points, so it lets us do more in the manipulation process. But also, we have these ginormous files. Like if you wanted, let's say you wanted me to do a 8-foot by 6-foot canvas for you, or do the side of your conference room, and maybe the conference room is 20 feet wide. If you're shooting these small JPEG files, which are easy to share and view on everything, you can't blow them up that big, right? I mean, there's not enough data there. Now, if you know somebody like me, I actually can take a small file and build it up so that you can use it for a large project, but it takes a lot of effort and it's expensive. But if you just shoot or in RAW, if you can, then you don't have to pay somebody like me to manipulate it like that, and you can save yourself a ton of money. So hang on a second. I'm just waiting for Photoshop to open now. I know it's exciting. It's like watching water boil. But this is what I do all day long. I wait for programs to process things, which is a lot of fun. Well, it can be. But it's also why I have multiple computers. That helps. That really helps too. Multiple screens, multiple computers, just one Ira. Come on, Adobe. I'm going to actually close Lightroom down now. because we're done with the Lightroom. And Photoshop is almost there. Closing some other stuff too, just to help speed this up. Okay, Photoshop, here we go. Well, it's almost there. It is. Okay. No. Yep. All right. There we go. Okay. So let me share my screen again. Okay. So now with Photoshop, what we want to do is just come open it. So file open. And then let's go to the pictures, June 2021. And there's the image. It's a large file, so it takes a second. This is the one problem with RAW. Like really, they're harder to deal with because they're large files. So this one you've got 22, 20, what is that? Let's just see. Yeah, so this one trimmed down, we're at 21 by 13 with 240 resolution there. So that's what we've got. 47.2 megs is the size, the original size that it's showing. Okay. So then what do we do here? Well, we can pretty much do anything we want. Typically, what I would do at this point is I would add at least a logo, right? Like if I'm going to do that, if I'm gonna finish this out, then I would go here, boom, digital media, come down to my PNG file, which use the PNG files because the clear background, right? And you go, okay, where would you put that? Usually in the corner. So something like that. And again, it doesn't have to be precise at the moment. But now I'm going to finish this up. So if I'm finishing it up for me, I'm going to use these two colors, which is why they're there. So I typically would do 2. So I'm kind of come in here and go rectangle tool. I don't need any fill. I'm going to put a box around it. Let's say 20 point. Do something like that. Okay, that's a little thick, so I'll back that up. We'll do it right here now. Okay. Hit enter. Pull that thing back down. Now I'm going to zoom in because what I like to do, I can make sure they're even. So zoom in. Now the one thing that you do want to do here is you want to make sure these aren't linked. You want to unlink that. Otherwise, you'll be moving it both ways. Okay. Pull that in. Come on down. Let's do this again. Make sure it's even. Usually, if you do 3 right, then usually the 4th one is correct. And that's kind of your double check, right? Okay, that looks good. And you back up, and you can just double check the size of that. Now, from here, what do you want to do, right? Like if I want to take this building and make that sky stand out, maybe what I do is mask this out and make it black and white. Like if I wanted to do the whole thing black and white, then I would come here and go change my saturation down and just turn it down in black and white photo. And it actually looks really good. Okay. I don't want to do that in this case. So I'm not going to do that. So I can just go back to 0 and that's normal. Okay. But if I want to do something trick to it, typically what I'm going to do, I can delete that layer because it didn't actually do anything. If I could come here, turn that background lock off, add a mask, and then start to play. Right. So I've taught how to do this before. If you guys haven't, if you haven't seen how I do mask layers, then you might want to go back and watch that. But here, I'll just show you real quick. So first thing I actually want to do is I want to duplicate this layer. Hang on a second. It's being a pain in the butt because they've got the... This is not the way to do it, but... you got to have the image twice, okay? So, image twice. One's got the layer, one doesn't. You actually want to have the mask layer above, okay? Now, when I change something on this layer, I'm now going to see through to the layer below it. So I'm going to have to take this. I've got to set at a single point. I have to increase the size or you guys won't be able to see it. Okay. So that's still too small. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to make it black. What that's doing is that's saying, okay, I don't want to see this on this layer wherever I make it black. So now what it's doing is it's making the other one, which actually it's not exactly on top of each other. So this whole lesson is stupid. Never mind. I'm not going to waste everybody's time because it's not set up right. So hang on a second. I'm just going to delete that layer. This thing didn't get set right somehow. Okay. So I'm just going to do that to make it quick. Now, you want to duplicate the layer. All right, so now it's there twice. So I'm going to just turn that one off for a second. And I'm going to add a mask layer. Okay, now I'm on the mask layer. I got to pick my paintbrush. Got black chosen. So that's going to turn that off. Okay. Now I normally would do this a lot cleaner. I just want to show you why I'm doing it. So you go and you mask everything that you want to change into black and white. Okay. Again, this is just a gross, quick lesson. Normally I would come and do this so much cleaner. To do that, it's hard for me to like not do it right. But anyways, okay. Now what I want to do is turn that layer off for a second. I'm going to turn this layer on and I'm going to make this black and white. Okay. Now that layer is black and white. Now when I turn this other layer back on, now the church, everything that I did underneath is black and everything that's on the top layer is blue. So if I want to, I could actually come back in here and I could fix this mask. So I can say, okay, Ira, you went too far here. And I can fix it. And this is what I would do. I would come in and clean it up. But this is just a quick lesson, right? So if I go over the steeple, see how that's colored in again? But I don't want to do that. So, okay, made a mistake. Well, let's go back and let's fix it. And now that's black again. Okay, so that's how you can manipulate. And I do these all the time. And it just pulls forward the color. Most people would do the opposite. They would drown out the sky. But to me, the sky is super interesting. So if you're like, you know what, I don't want to manipulate that at all. I just love it the way it is. Just take that and turn that, off and have it full color, because I actually like it the way it is. But anyways, that's some of the stuff that I would do in Photoshop to finish it out. And then, of course, you can save it as different file types and different sizes. So what I normally do is I would finish it out, and then I would open a new one for the size that I want, and then save that as like a 6x4 or a 3x5 or whatever size I want. And if I want to build it up, maybe I'll show you guys that some other time, how to take a small file and increase it. It's a multi-step process the way I do it, but that works too. So anyways, that is a lot of information, and it's pretty technical information. So I don't know if you're able to follow it or not, if it's interesting or not, but it is part of what I do. It's the fun stuff that I do behind the scenes. So anyways, my name is Ira Bowman. This has been a longer than normal show, but I hope you enjoyed it. I do this every Monday, 11 o'clock Pacific. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. Time adjust for wherever you are. We have people from all over, from East Africa, West Africa, from New York, from Texas, from California, and I'm sure a few other places that people didn't shout out in the beginning of the show. But wherever you're watching from, whether you watched it live or you watched it later, thank you so much. My shows will be back on their regular scheduled time. So what's next? I have Thursday show. I have a Friday show. And that's it right now. I have Monday, Thursday, and Friday. So what is Thursday? Thursday is Job Seeker Spotlight. And that show comes on, I believe it's 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't hold my feet to the fire on that one, but I think that's right. And then on Fridays with Joe, we do Cup of Joe. Joe's been hosting that one lately, which is fine with me. But so check out Joe Stepke. If you don't know him, what are you doing? Joe Stepke's awesome. Follow Joe Stepke. He's Joe the Finance Guy. And I believe that it might actually be on Joe the Finance Guy's page this week. I don't know. Joe's got the ability to go live from Joe the Finance Guy and his personal, so he kind of oscillates. But anyways, I believe we're having Tim on this week. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern is the start of the show. I hope to see you at all the shows. And I hope you have a great week. Look, if you need help with anything, we do photography, videography, graphic design, SEO, fraud protection via Mariella Stockmall at Business at Risk. We will build websites, and we do social media management. Look us up, bowmandigitalmedia.com. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you around social media. Thanks for joining. bowmandigitalmedia.com.